In this demonstration, I'm going to set up a simple face setup for the eye using the add-on set-driven key Action Constraint Builder. And this is the example that I'm going to show you. So I have a brow control for left and right side. I can also control the individual brow if I want. I have an eyelid open and close, top and bottom. And I also have a control to control both of the eyelid. And I also can control the eyelid individually. Finally, by rotating the eyeball also affecting the eyelid movement. So let's get started. Here I have a face model with a deformed bone and some control bones. So these are the deformed bones, and these bigger bones are the control bones. Currently it doesn't do anything, but we will set that up using the add-ons. So the few control bones are actually the brow bone, the eyelid control, and technically the eye is also a control bone. So let's see how we're going to set this up. First, I will set up the eyebrow first because it is the most straightforward one. I'm going to select the eyebrow control bone. I'm going to load it as driver, and in this case X location is fine. I'm going to use this. I'm going to select all the brow bones that I'm going to use to control, and I'm going to load them as driven object. Now I have loaded the driven object. I can now post thing. So I'm going to set driven key to set the default pose, and I'm going to move this up. I'm going to post the brows based on what I want when the controller bone is at this position. Now one very important thing is to make sure that you are setting the correct channel, because if you are not using the correct channel, then you might waste some time after you set that up and then realize it doesn't work. Okay, so here I have set the key. Now if I move this down, you can see that it is now working. Now if I want to flip this to the other side, I can simply press this create or update flip version of this controller. Now this only works for bones, and it will only work if you have a flip version of the controller bone. That means that this bone needs to exist, plus it needs to be named properly with the correct suffixes. So here you have .L and the other side is .R. So only this will work. If this bone doesn't exist, this would not work. So let me try this. Let me click this. I click OK. And you can see that it has set up the brows. And if I try here, this also works. Next, let's set up the eyes. I'm going to do the eye open and close. So let me just select this upper eyelid controller. And I'm going to load it as driver. In this case, X location is fine as well. And I'm going to select all the upper eyelid, and I'm going to load them as driven. Now I can set driven key to set the default position, and I can move this up, and I can move the eyelid. Set key, and you can see that it is already working. Now I can move this down, and I can close the eyes. And I can set key, and if I move this, oh, wrong bone. Okay. If I set key and I move this, you can see that it is now open and closed. Now if I want to adjust this, I can click this button to snap to the correct position, to the next key and the previous key. And I think I'm going to close it even more. Set key. And now this works. Let's do the lower eyelid. I'm going to select the lower eyelid controller. I'm going to load it as driver again. I'm going to select the lower eyelid, load driven, and I'm going to set key, and I'm going to move this down, and I'm going to set the pose. Set key, and let's move this up so that he can close his eyes. I'm going to close the top eye so that I can fit this. set key. Now the top eye can open and close, bottom eye can open and close. Next, let's control both of the upper eyelid and lower eyelid together so that you can close and open eyes easily. To do this, I will use another controller to control this controller, which is this. And let's try it. I'm going to call this blinker.l. And in this case, I am probably going to use another axis. Okay, x-axis is fine. So I'm going to use x-axis. Load it. Load this as driven. And I'm going to set driven key. I'm going to move this up and I'm going to open the eyes. I'm going to move to the other side and I'm going to close the eyes. Now I can open and close eyes using this. And I can also do further adjustment using these two bones. Finally, let's make the eyeball affecting the eyelid. I'm going to select the eyeball and I'm going to load it as driver. In this case, I'm going to use X rotation. I'm going to rename this as X rotate as well. And I'm going to load all the eyelids as driven. And I'm going to set key. Now I'm going to start posing this. So I'm going to move this over to the left side. And I can control the eyelid. I actually should turn off the other constraint so that it's not interfering. But right now it looks okay. But if it's more extreme, most likely it will be acting very weirdly. So it is very important to turn off other constraints before doing this. So I'm going to do the other side. Set key. Now left and right is working. Now I'm going to do up and down. So I'm going to load this as driver again and I'm going to use Y rotation. Or is it X, Z rotation? Let's see what is it. So it's going to be the Z rotation. I'm going to load it as driver using Z rotation. Okay. And I'm going to add all the eyelid again. And I'm going to set key. Now I need to turn off the X rotation. Let me just disable this. Reset the position, set key, enable it. Now the eyelid is in default position, so it's not affecting. And let's try and pose this. Now look down. Set key. Now up down is working. Now if I enable the X axis as well, all the axis is working. Now I can add on the other constraint. Eye blinking is working. Brow is working. Now I can flip the rest using the flip function, but before that I think I'm going to rename my constraint first because it is all called action constraint, which is very confusing on what is what. So let's see. So this is going to be brow left. And let's see, this is going to be blinker left. And this is going to be upper eyelid left. Lower eyelid left. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so this is the other side. I'm going to rename this to brow.r because we have flipped it just now. And let's see what else we have. Eyeball. I'm just going to add a suffix so that it's easier to identify. Okay, X rotation and Y rotation. Now let's flip everything. So I'm going to click this, I'm going to flip it, flip it, flip it, flip it, and flip it. Now let's see how it works. So eye is working, eyeball is working. Seems like I got some weight paint issue there. And the brow is working. I'm just going to fix up this weight paint. This is going to be eyeball. So I'm going to remove from all vertex group and I'm going to assign to this. Okay, now it is fixed. So here, controlling the brow, controlling the eye, and upper eyelid and lower eyelid individually, and even the eyeball can affect the eyelid. So I hope this helps.